Decades ago, Hinduism cannot be defined. The Hindu society has developed in an all-comprehensive manner with bewildering variety of forms, but with one thread of unification running through. He said many attempts at defining Hinduism have been made from time to time, but all such definitions have proved to be inadequate. This is what Guruji said decades ago. See what the Supreme Court says in 1995. Every attempt at a specific definition of Hinduism has proved to be unsatisfactory in one way or another, more so because the finest scholars on Hinduism, including Hindus themselves, have emphasized different aspects of the whole. It is a matter of common knowledge that Hinduism embraces within itself so many diverse forms of beliefs, faiths and practices and worship. It is difficult to define the term Hindu with precision. Exactly word for word what Guruji said 50 years ago, and still Guruji was branded as communal, narrow-minded, religious, bigoted. The situation completely changes. And the court also said Hindu religion is marvelously Catholic and elastic. Its theology is marked by eclecticism and tolerance and almost unlimited freedom of worship. And this being the nature of the religion, it is not strange to hold within its fold men of divergent views and traditions with very little in common except the vague faith of what may be called the fundamentals of Hindu religion. Even as a religion, it is diverse. It transcends beyond religion. It comprehends a higher idea than religion. And Guruji went a step further. When everybody talked about religious tolerance, Guruji said tolerance is a lesser virtue. You say, I tolerate other religions. It means you are superior and you are tolerating an inferior fellow. Guruji said, this will lead to violence. While comparing the idea of religious tolerance in the West, Guruji said, Hinduism does not tolerate, just to tolerate, but accepts all other faiths. It's very important. The quality of accepting other faiths is the highest virtue. And that a particular faith is inferior in your mind means that there is scope for violence. And Hindu view is one of respecting, even accepting other faiths and viewpoints. This is what Guruji said 50 years ago. See what the Supreme Court says. Decades later, the Supreme Court, citing Dr. Radhakrishnan, said that the knowledge of the Hindu religion bred willingness to understand and appreciate the opponent's point of view. When Guruji said this, he was berated as communal, narrow-minded. But the Supreme Court says the same thing. And Guruji's words are almost quoted by the Supreme Court. And Guruji said, the idea of secularism is the virtue of the state. The state has to be neutral to religions. It has to promote all religions. It has to protect all religions. It is our concept of secularism. In the West, secularism is not a multi-religious concept. It is a mono-religious concept. In fact, Dr. Rajaram has written about it many times. That secularism in Christianity is not that Christians and non-Christians are equal. It only said the church will remain independent of the state and state will remain independent of the state. It is a quarrel within Christians which was settled by the idea of secularism. But our understanding of quote-unquote secularism is different. While defining the Hindu view of secularism, Guruji declared that the Hindu thought did not stop at the negative aspect of restraining one religion from infringing upon another. It mandated that the ruler should respect and encourage every single religious thought however few its adherents. This is the most important thing. This quality is philosophically shared within the Hindu idea. Where is the society in which you have Parsis in the world except India? The true Persians are in India. And how many? It is less than 100,000 today. And they still maintain their traditions. Their holy books is safe. And they are amongst the most prosperous people in this country and even in the world. The topmost industrialists, the topmost professionals belong to the Parsi community. Did anyone disturb them? Did anyone violate the religious thing? Guruji said, however few their number, their right to practice is not only to be respected, it is also to be protected. This is the Hindu viewpoint. See what the Supreme Court says now. The Supreme Court said in the 9th bench ruling in Bommai's case, which redefined the concept of secularism, secularism is more than a positive attitude of religious tolerance. It is a concept of equal treatment of all religions. This is what Guruji said 50 years ago. And then about diversity. Guruji's idea of unity is harmony. It is not uniformity. Guruji repeatedly used to make it clear. Our idea of unity is not uniformity, it is unity in diversity. It is recognizing the ultimate harmony among all the people living in this country, for which he gave the finest example. Whether a Muslim or a Christian in this country, all have the same forefathers. This consciousness that we are from the same forefathers is sufficient to provide the basis for harmony. This Guruji used to say often. You know, many are not aware that in the 1911 census, there were 7 crore Muslims in this country. And when they gave their origin, only 3 lakh Muslims regarded themselves as descendants of Mughals. Out of 7 crore Muslims, it's the recorded statistics in the 1911 census, that out of 7 crore Muslims, only 3 lakh Muslims claim to be descendants of Mughals. Guruji said that you are the descendants of common forefathers like you and me. You are not the descendants of the Mughals or the Turks or the Arabs. This is what Guruji used to say. Don't promote that consciousness. That consciousness is divisive. It will promote disharmony. Don't promote it. When he said don't promote it, they said this is communal. So to promoting the consciousness that you are the descendants of people who came from outside, that is harmony. Or promoting the consciousness that you and me are descendants of the same forefathers, that is harmony. 50 years late, the Supreme Court was in accepting what Guruji said. And one more, Guruji said, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. Our spiritual masters have upheld this comprehensive aspect of religion and indicates Hinduism granted universal validity for all religions. We do not know what is correct. Seers say it is correct, we follow it. And the Supreme Court quoted precisely the same verse from Dr. Radhakrishnan's work on Indian philosophy, namely, truth is one, wise men call it differently, and further quoted Monier Williams that Hinduism is based on universal receptivity in the year 1995. See how a seer whose thoughts were not accepted, almost rejected, he kept on insisting, year after year, in meeting after meeting, discussion after discussion, He kept on repeating the same thing to keep the consciousness of the people alive. Outside the system, outside the paradigm of rulers, and the very constitution under which the rulers rejected him, rejected his thoughts, repudiated him in his times. Under that very constitution, the highest court of land upholds his views. And there are many examples like this, but I want to stress that Guruji had diagnosed that the monotheistic religions which came from outside have a narrow outlook, and that narrow outlook is being promoted by politics that is dangerous to them as well as to the society. And this no one had the guts to say at that time, because the polity was based on vote banks, and the soft leadership would not like to say anything wrong about anybody, and so this truth had to be told. And Guruji said this, that anyone who is born in this country, be a Muslim or a Christian, you may not accept Rama as God. You must accept Rama as a great hero. You must accept Krishna as a great hero, national hero. And the symbols which the traditions of this country respect, you must also respect. But if your religion doesn't allow you to do it, then there is something wrong with the religion. You need not have to change the religion. You need not have to change your faith. But you have to respect things which the people of this country believe, which the traditions of this country prescribe. This is what Guruji used to say. But this view was being rejected by the elites, by the intellectuals, by the media, by secularists. And in the year 1992-91, the Chicago University formed a project called Religious Fundamentalism Project. 5 volumes were brought out in a space of 6 years. In 1993, a volume came in which they largely dealt with the Hindu religion, Hindutva, RSS specifically, and the fundamentalism project upheld the views of Guruji. Guruji said there is nothing called Hindu fundamentalism. The Hindu fundamentalism is that all religions are correct. Accepting all religions is the fundamentalism of Hindu religion. And so you cannot accuse Hinduism of fundamentalism in the sense in which you say that other religions are fundamentalist, because they have a very different orientation, very different history, very different theology. And this aspect was examined by the fundamentalism project of the Chicago University, and I am quoting. Volume 4 said, Volume 1 of the fundamentalism project, titled Fundamentalism Observed, it says, some traits of fundamentalism examined here are more accurately attributable to the people of the books, the Jews, the Christians and the Muslims, than to the others in the religious family. This is precisely what Guruji said. When you are living in a society in which you are accepted, your religion is accepted, welcome. You have got to respect the sentiments and the feelings of the people who accept you. In fact, there is an Islamic principle also. Darul Islam and Darul Harb, where the Muslims rule and where the Muslims are ill-treated. These are 2 areas against nations where the Muslims are ill-treated, you can wage, you Muslims are supposed to wage a war. But there is also a via area, a middle area called Darul Aman, where the Muslims live in peace. In that, the Muslims are not supposed to have any religious animosity. They are supposed to accept the traditions of those people and live with them. This is precisely what Guruji wanted the Muslims in India to do. That the secular leadership, the political leadership, the Muslim political leadership worked against it and said, we need not live in harmony with you. We can live by our faith. In 1890, an effort was made between the Muslims and the Hindus, about which Dharampal has written a book, that the Muslims came to the conclusion, Muslim religious scholars came to the conclusion, Pakistan and India were together, that the Hindus respect cows so much, we should not kill cows. This is an agreement which they came to, which was broken in 1905 with the partition of Bengal by the British. So, the Muslims in India were victims of a political conspiracy also. But unfortunately, they didn't have enlightened Muslim leadership or even secular leadership. With the result, the divide keeps on going and going and going. And the fundamentalism project diagnosed today what Guruji had said 50 years ago, that the narrowness of these faiths is being overemphasized and they are not being allowed to live in peace and harmony with the mainline society. And militant Hinduism, religious revivalism, reactionary Hinduism, these were all the epithets used against RSS and Guruji. Guruji said these are all inappropriate. None of these will apply to Hindu religion because when it accepts everything, you cannot call it militant. And when Hindu religion accepts everything, you cannot call it revivalism, to reject anyone, reactionary. Guruji was alone in saying this. But the fundamentalism project of Chicago University stated precisely the same thing. And it said, both Indian and Western commentators tend to use such terms as militant Hinduism, Hindu fundamentalism, religious revivalism, or reactionary Hinduism to describe the ideology of the RSS movement. Although these terms may seem inappropriate category for the study of Hindu religious phenomena, inappropriate. This is what Guruji said 50 years ago. Fundamentalism project of Chicago University is not a project run by even Indians. It is run by renowned scholars. You may or may not agree with their views, but they had nothing to do with any dispute or disagreement or bias in favor or against anybody in this country. They were scholars whose views you may accept or you may not accept. And it is those scholars who came to the conclusion that these terms are inappropriate for the study of Hindu religious phenomena.